speaking of golf, Franklin plays a lot of basketball, but very little golf or tennis. How can we get them involved in golf?
Oh, that's a good question. You know, I don't know. You know, a lot of this has to do with budgets and things like that. If this were a sport that maybe parents would supplement the cost of the child's participation in that sport, that would be one thing. But I think most sports at the public school level, I mean, it's all part of it. It's built into the budget. It's interesting when you think about some of the other countries that are providing what some would argue is a far better education than what we do in the United States. And if you look at the sports athletic part of what they do, it's almost negligible. Right? They don't spend money that way. So I would argue that if you are going to spend money on sports, I don't mind it. But perhaps every school ought to figure out how they raise their own budget to basically fuel that sport. We have plenty of money in the public education system. You know, this country spends $540 billion a year, every year. $540 billion. That's a lot of money. And you ask for what? Believe me, it's not a great education. It's one of the worst educations of the 30 industrialized countries of the world. One of the worst.
Are you talking about education from K to
K-12 education. Okay. You know, it's really a travesty, and it's one of the things that we're going to try to fix with you know, with the parent union. But when you think about how much money is spent, and these are just a few factoids. In the state of Washington, we're actually better than most. Okay, but in the state of Washington, there are still more non-teachers than teachers on the public school payroll. How can that be? You know, we're in the business of education. You know, I think it's teachers who are doing the educating. But we have more non-teachers than teachers on the public school payroll. Again, I can go on and on and on about, you know, the problems with our education system, but I won't. One more question, then I'll stick around. But one more question.
Sorry to ruin it. I just wanted to make a